Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our weekly connection. So we are tapping into the energy of Toldot, and we'll use the portion of Toldot that is on page 173. So we'll get started with the relevance of this passage. Ellen, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Jacob and Esau were born together in the womb of Rivkah. On a macrocosmic level, Jacob represents the forces of good, Esau, the forces of evil, and the womb of Rivkah symbolizes our physical world. On the micro level, this dynamic represents the positive and negative aspects of our own nature. The portion of Zohar gives us power over our dark side so that we can overcome our internal demons.
Thank you. I'll read from the Aramaic for us to connect to the energy. אמר רבי יצחק, כתיב ויתרוצצו הבנים בקרבה, ותאמר אם כן למה? למה זה אנוכי ותלך לדרוש את השם לאן אתר, אז לת לבה מדרשה דשם ועבר. ויתרוצצו הבנים בקרבה, ודתמן הווה ההוא רשע. דעשו אגח קרבה ביעקב, ויתרוצצו ידברו כמה דאמרינן. רצץ את מוחו, ידברו דה עמדה, והתפלגו דה חזדה, סתרה דרוכב נחש, ודה סתרה דרוכב על קרסיה, שלמתה קדישה בסתרה דשמשה לשמשה בסיהרה. All right. Go ahead, Ellen.
Okay. Rabbi, it is written, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Hashem. Where did she go? To the academy of Shem and Ever. The children struggled together within her because the wicked Esau was warning against Jacob there. The term struggle is similar to the expression to break one's head, for they struggled and were divided. Come and behold, Esau was of the side of he who rides the serpent. Is that next word a word I can say?
Samech mem.
Okay. See, I have a issue now. Okay. While Jacob was of the side.
Who rides?
I lost my screen. Okay. Who rides the perfect holy throne of the side of the sun, Zerin Pin, that is united with the moon, the Nukva.
Very good. Thank you. All right. So I had a very deep, very fruitful conversation today with a student about a challenge that this student is going through. And I think that every single one of us goes through various custom-made challenges. Someone deals with family, another deals with finance, another deals with some sort of insecurity, another person deals with low self-esteem. Every person at one point in time deals with different challenges. And when we face those challenges, that is when it is hard, it is harder, it is more challenging to be spiritual and to remain positive. It's just a part of being a human being. And expecting anything more than that from us, from ourselves, wouldn't be fair for ourselves, and wouldn't be fair of others to expect it from us, and vice versa, to expect it from other people. When people are going through a tough time, then it's hard to expect them to be at the best of their game. Some people are, going through divorce, or they lost their job, or, there is insecurity because of what's going on now in the world. And because of certain titles and upbringing, we almost expect people to behave in a certain way that is not to the way that they do right now. And so, it's almost as if, I've been in Kabbalah for over 20 years as a teacher, and prior to that, I studied for a few years. And if I have a down, I almost get judged by my students. I would get judged by my students if I was to tell them everything. Judged by my student because I'm going through a difficult time. I'm still, before anything, before even being a human, before even being a spiritual person, I am a human being. And a human being is comprised of those two forces. For somebody who doesn't acknowledge that those two forces exist within you, is not a human being. You're in denial that you're a human being. Every single person that is born, that is breathing, has those two forces. So the lesson, something that was written thousands of years ago, is a lesson that is very current today and will probably be current as long as there is such a thing as the correction of the world, the tikkun olam, which means that we came to correct this evil side that is within us to become in tune, to become in sync with the positive side of us, so that ultimately we defeat the evil, we defeat whatever spiritual, emotional, energetical gravity that in nature is to take us down. So if it is through events, conflict, or challenges that happen to us in our lives, the nature, the intelligent consciousness of those events, of those instances, is to take us down. Our job is not to allow nature of this physical reality to get the best of us, and to in a verbiage of Kabbalah, is to restrict, is to pose, what a pleasure, everything that we learn in classes. Obviously, easier said than done, but we would also acknowledge that compared to where I was prior to studying Kabbalah, where I was completely in neglect of my spiritual work, I wasn't even aware of those things. I wasn't aware of restriction. I wasn't aware of really the definition of evil or Satan or all those things. I wouldn't even get close to studying those things. If you tell me, like prior to Kabbalah to study Satan, I would think that it's like, black magic or things like that. I would stay away from it. But when we learn that Satan or evil is something that exists within us, but not in the way that, out there somebody who is not knowledgeable of Kabbalah would understand it, but in a way that it is desire for the self alone. So if we take the translation of the word Rasha, which means evil in Hebrew, and this is why Hebrew is more of an ancient text that is filled with secrets, that is filled with direction and guidance more than a language that we speak to communicate. And there is a secret in the word evil. And Rasha is the acronym of Ratzon Shel Atzmo, which means desire for the self alone. And so what is by definition the desire for the self alone? And that is what is spoken about, the energy, the essence of Esau, for example, because there are variations, maybe countless of variations of how Esau can be expressed in our lives. And so Esau towards Jacob would be jealousy, would be hatred, would be anger and rage. Those are great examples of what illustrates some aspect of that evil inclination, that desire to receive for the self alone, that we are all victim of at one point or another. So it is harsh to say or to label somebody because he had a rough time and he was acting with rage, or he was acting with jealousy, or he was acting with God knows judgment. And unfortunately, as human beings, we are also very good at judging others and labeling others. So my 1 or 2 encounters with this person just met this person at the worst of version of this person, and that's it. Now I'm labeling this person as an angry person, or as a jealous person, or as a person that has a rush temperament. And so this is why we wanted to take out of this that each and every single one of us has the Jacob and has the Esau within us. In the story, you have the mother Rivka that walks in the street and she feels this conflict. She's not aware yet that she has twins. And so when she walks by a house of sin, you have like this one side of her that, one of the babies that is like drawn and is like reaching out almost to that house of sin. And then she walks, like a few feet after that, and she walks by a place of worship. And now we know that it's Jacob that is reaching out because he wants, in his essence, he connects to that connection to the Creator. And so she's confused, like she's like so tormented and is fearful that, that she's going to bring a baby to this world, and she's coming from descendants of righteous, etc., and righteous tzaddikim, etc., and she's going to bring an evil, confused child into this world. She was horrified. And so she brought that child to this, righteous man who basically told her to the Academy of Shem and Ever, and she was guided into understanding that she doesn't have one child that is confused, but she has twins. One is of a nature to connect to the Creator, to the cosmos, and one that is to connect to everything that this 1% reality has to offer, but in the lower grade of consciousness. So she was relieved. She was relieved not because she has like an evil child, but she is relieved that one of them is the one that she was hoping for. So obviously, like if you're reading really the story and the interpretation from the Zohar, it sounds horrible. I mean, even me, by telling just the story of a mother that feels like that about her children, however it's going to come. You see even today, mothers that are supportive of children that are becoming adults and do all sorts of things that are deplorable, but the parents are still very supportive. And we can't judge that because we don't know until we're not wearing the shoes of the parent. And so when we're outside of the picture and we see this, we are like lamenting the parents. How can they be so loving and supporting over, such criminals or whatever? But we don't know. But when we're reading this story, how can a spiritual person think like that about her own child, right? But here the Zohar is telling us it's not about the children. And it's not about Rivka. It's not about the mother that is judging one of a child who is like fearful that one of them or is going to come out and is going to be like this criminal or whatnot. It is for us to understand clearly that this constant conflict between the two is the conflict that exists within each one of us. So you can be a very spiritual individual, but when, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to be challenged. Maybe today you're going to handle it a little bit differently than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, however long you've studied your study. But as of today, the way that we're going to handle the situation, maybe I'm still going to be reactive, but instead of freezing and giving the cold shoulder for 2 months to a person that I love, it's going to last for 2 days. And then I'll keep on improving and it's going to last for 2 hours. Maybe I'll keep these together with me, with my being for the rest of my life. And I'm still going to be hurt and shut down, etc., for the rest of my life. But the way that it is handled is better. And this is how we can say that we are growing. Growing spiritually is not that everything is perfect and everything is great, because challenges will never go away. We see that we are growing spiritually in a way that we're handling challenges compared to the way that we were handling them in the past. And so if you can determine that you are doing better in those instances, and don't compare today from yesterday, take a week, take a month, and it's good to write down, to keep history, to keep, like details of, your goals and how you reached it and how you were handling certain challenges and how you blew up, and keep history of all those things, and then read the things that you were dealing with like a year from now and see how I don't want to say like it's not funny, but how much lighter you are today. Because it's important to keep track, because otherwise you don't know if you're evolving. You don't know if it works for you. Sometimes I have students that say, I don't know if it works for me, if this scanning, if this study, if this restriction works for me. And I'm like, are you kidding? I remember the first time I was talking to you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to take a lot of work. But look at you today, a year, 5 years, 10 years after that, I can say, like I even said today, how proud I am of this student who is going through a challenge. And while she's going through this challenge, it's hard to reconnect the dots. And once we're having the conversation, boom, it's catching like right away. Of course, I see it. And I could have had like an hour or 3 hours or 3 weeks conversation with this person maybe 5 years ago. But here, like 5 minutes, and the direct understanding, and by the way, understanding of a spiritual concept about us, not like a la la land spiritual concept, is that you realize where you're limited, you acknowledge where are your faults, although I don't like so much the word, but let's call it like delay or temporary limitation. But she got where she is and was able to admit that she feels this way and she thinks in this way, and because of that, it created a situation. It's not because a person is A, B, or C, or because this person did this, or because a person did that. That is the result. That's the effect. But what is the cause? We know as students of Kabbalah, and we know as students of spirituality, of universal spirituality, that thoughts have power. And so if we have an intention, a desire, a hope, a dream, likely the chance, and the more acute, the more intense is that desire, the more passionate are you about not just the intention and the thought, but also follow through with the action, shorter would be the gap between the intention and the manifestation. But if you have an intention, and together with that intention, there is a conflicting intention. So it's like saying, I want to be rich, but at the same time thinking, I'm so miserable that I don't have money. Or thinking, I'm dreaming about being healthy again, but I feel so fearful about my health, my health situations of today. And so the universe is listening to us and absorbing everything that we mean. And so this is why it's very hard for the universe to translate. So wait a second, you're sending conflicting desires, conflicting intentions. So the universe is conflicted and or confused, and because of that, it is not able to deliver your greatest hope, to deliver something that is magnificent, successful, healthy, or whatever is the result of something good that you wish for yourself. So this is why when we're talking about Esau and we're talking about Jacob, it can also be conflicting intentions. And when you have a good intention, but also in the physical, you do the opposite, you're not canceling it out. Because the intention, it's like you're sending like a vibe, that energy is immortal. It's not going anywhere. So even if you're not going to manifest that intention, that dream today, it might manifest in 5 years from now. It might manifest in a lifetime from now. So this is why also it is hard to comprehend when bad people, get it easy or have good result in whatever they do. It's not because they're bad people. We're spiritual people. We cannot think in this way. We know that every cause has its effect, equal effect. So if a person does good, good will come out of that. If a person does bad, bad will come out. It's just a matter that because we are limited with time and space, we can't see the gap, we can't see the in-between. So this is why we cannot judge when somebody who is bad, who is evil, who is like a criminal, seems like he's getting away. He's not getting away. It's just a matter of time. And we need to trust, we need to untrust the universe to deal with this. We're not the judges, we're not the universe. This person is going to handle whatever is going to come at him later on. But if at the same time, this person is experiencing soulmate, financial success, amazing environment and friendship and whatever, and everything that you look in, every direction that you look at this individual, it makes you jealous. I wish that I had that. But you should know, every cause has its equal effect. And so if that person is experiencing good, it means that at some point in time, in this lifetime, in previous lifetime, this person did good. This is why it is an encouragement to, regardless of us not seeing when it's going to land, we know that it is going to happen. In the same way that when you plant like an orange fruit seed, you don't see the fruit, but you believe, you know that if you follow, whatever needs to be done, you put it in the earth and you put water and, whatever, like to boost the growth of that tree, like within a year, it can bear fruit. But not just as a spiritual individual, but as common sense, that if you're planting the seed, it's not instantaneous. The same thing for everything. We know that if I'm going to do good, a lot of people expect the good to be back right away in return. And so a lot of people get disappointed. Look, I've done A, B, and C, and D, and Z, and nothing good is coming back to me. But this is not how it works, especially if you have like such, desire to receive for the self alone or selfish expectations. If we wanted to have pure intent, and it is, all of us have pure intentions. The one thing that we need to become aware of is its equal opposite. Because we are born with an equal opposite in our thoughts, in our desires, in our dreams, in our intentions, all of us have an equal opposite to each one of them, and it is given to us as a prize. Without it, we cannot earn what we are asking for. So one is to determine, it's to identify what is that opposite that is not allowing me or that is blocking me or that could be blocking me from receiving which it is that I intend to have. A good relationship, a good health, a good connection, elevation, good health, whatever is soulmate, marriage, children, anything that you desire, you can put it out there. It's like Santa Claus is open all year long. All we have to do is to identify what is the opposite. Where is it going to come from? If we're not alert and if we're not consistently aware and awake, where is Esav going to come and try to get its bowl of lentil? Is going to come and try to steal away a piece from us. And it doesn't need much, because as human beings, we are going to settle for less. Part of the human nature is to settle for less. We have grandiose dreams, but difficulty is arising, and suddenly I'm going to say, you know what? It's too hard and it's too freaky, and I'm scared. I'm just going to sell short, and you know what? At least I'm not at loss. I'm hearing this verbiage. I'm hearing these talks, especially that there is so much boost and posts and videos about cryptocurrency and things like that. And I mean, it's a very risky market, and I'm very interested. I'm very interested in a lot of things. That is one good thing about Gemini. But at the same time, I see the craziness that there is going on. And so you have, like, for example, Warren Buffett, I don't know if I pronounce his name right, who says that one of his best advice is, if you want to be a good investor, don't be emotional. Don't be emotional, because most of the people, they see that when it's going up, they get excited because there is a rush, so they buy. And when it's going down, they panic, so they sell. And so Warren Buffett says, but it's the opposite. When it's going up, you sell, and when it's going down, you hold. But majority of the people, they do the opposite, and so this is why they lose, or they sell themselves short. They sell themselves short, or they cut their, there is an expression, cut your losses, right? But unfortunately, we don't see that just with stock market, cryptocurrency. We see this in relationship, in marriage, in jobs, with our health. Cut your losses, settle for less. And that is the contradicting intention and desire that is to be reached, that is to be successful, that is to be in a harmonious relationship. Esav is present at all time. And if it's not fear, it's judgment, low self-esteem, rage, anger, jealousy, whatever it is, Esav is present at all time, and it wants to take you down, not because it hates you, because it is its nature. It's like, like in the United States, you have the IRS, it's going to come and it's going to knock on your door and it's going to claim, the taxes, or it's going to put the house of this person on foreclosure. So you can hate the IRS agent, but it's not about him. He's doing his job. He has a job. I just compared the IRS to an evil demon or whatever, but it's not what I meant. The IRS, is just like, as an example to somebody that needs to do his job. And so if you are in default and you didn't pay your taxes or your property tax for a while, it's cause and effect. And a lot of people, especially in our day, especially in the states that I live right now, in Florida, the market is insane. So there used to be a time like 2 years ago that you would come to Florida and you would take your time to find the house of your dreams, etc. It's not like that anymore. Today, it is what they call like the seller's market. So it means that there is very low inventory and they do whatever they want. So they sell the houses at 100,000, 150,000 above market. And when they sell it, they put it on the market. 2 days later, it's sold. It is sold. And they take it, all those people now, because of all the COVID and all the mandates and all the craziness that's happening in this country, a lot of people move to Florida. And, they come from New York or they come from Los Angeles, where the houses are at least the double. And they come here with cash in their hands and they make cash offers. Now, the sellers, they see cash offers and a legit, Floridian that wants to buy a house, they're not going to think twice. They don't want to go through the whole process. They even like discounting inspection. Like the sellers are saying, you want the house, no inspection, because they know that if you're going to do inspection, you're going to find all these things. Anyway, without going into, this is my movie, what I'm going through right now. So I see it, and I have a lot of friends that are moving here. So, we live it like firsthand, and it's crazy what's happening. So all this to illustrate that there is a reality that you can create yourself, which is what I did. I didn't want to do a hasty decision when I moved to Florida. So we moved into a place that is short term. So we can take our time to, to find something that is suitable for us. And then I see people that are, because they have to move, they make decisions out of fear and desperation. They're desperate to find something. And in that situation, this is when we make the worst decisions. The same for marriage. I've seen people, men and women, that are desperate because of age, because of whatnot. They make desperate decisions to get married or to get pregnant. So they are not really interested to get married, but they want the child. So they get married to get a child. And so obviously the marriage doesn't last long because the intention was placed into having a child and not to get married. So, I mean, this is what we talk about. We almost have to watch everything, or not watch, but to be more aware of what we think, of what we feel, what my desires are, and what my dreams, what my hopes are. To be very clear about that. And if I'm clear about that, is that the best that the universe has to offer me, or am I settling for less? And if I'm settling for less, what would be like the ultimate? And if I found my ultimate, and I synchronize all my desires and all my thoughts and all my hopes and all my feelings towards that dream or that hope or that desire, and I'm not letting anything else coming in. And so I share like this example. It's like you're trying to grow a plant, you're planting the seed, and you're starting to see like this little thing sticking out of the earth. And right at this moment, you're deciding to put some drops of, I don't know, some poisonous chemical, like for no reason, just like, like, let's just see what happens. And so obviously, the plant is taking the heat, it keeps on growing, but something is weird. The color and the shape, it doesn't look normal. What's going on? But at the same time, you keep on dropping like these drops of poison. I mean, this is just like a silly metaphor, but this is what we do with our dreams, with our desires, with our hopes, with our intentions. We have pure intentions. I'm not arguing that. We all have pure intentions, but we allow to nurture that intention to be surrounded with toxicity that is in conflict, that is contradictory with what it is that you want. So it's like you want like the best for, the best relationship with your kids, but at the same time, you think A, B, and C that is contradictory. So every time that they mingle or that they interact with you, there is like some sort of like a snap and short answers and it cuts short and they don't want to stay and they run out. And like we don't see, unfortunately, this is why I'm saying it is attacking us in every area. We have, with everything that we wish for, we have a pure intention and we have a pure desire. If we want to have better results, we need to clear out all the bad herbs. How do you call this? Like when you plant and there is like the bad herbs. How do you call the bad herbs?
Weeds.
Weeds, exactly. How to weed out all the bad stuff. And when we're talking about the bad stuff, it's the fear that is involved. It's the low self-esteem. It's like you want the soulmate, but you're battling. You're challenged with your appearance. You're challenged with your self-love. You're challenged with your self-confidence, but you want the soulmate. It's a perfect example. We are sending consistently contradictory messages into the universe, and this is why nothing is happening, or not what I expected is happening. And so when we are studying and we connect to this passage from the Zohar, it is to give us the strength to boost the good inclination and to narrow down. We can't really kick out that evil inclination, but what we can do by not focusing on it, we're not nurturing it. And so it doesn't have the strength to challenge us as much. One is to become aware of those negative, of these opposite forces. If you think that you're so smart and so spiritual and you're only charitable and you're only out there to help others, but you're not aware of the equal opposite, it's just a matter of time. And it's not just a question of matter of time. It means that denial or that oblivion is not allowing you to do your spiritual work, because Esau or the Samech Mem or the evil inclination is using the oldest trick that ever existed in the universe, which is it doesn't exist. And it gets us as human beings, it gets us every single time. So you got to a place where you have overcome 1, 2, 1,000 challenges, but he is so genius and he's so creative. After thousands of years, it recreates itself. And so that force that you have defeated 1,000 times, and if it comes back, you see it coming, it is going to reinvent itself and it's going to challenge you in a new way. So this is why the same that he is never resting, that force is never resting. We should never rest at defeating this opposite force that is intending to be always with the light, to be always with prosperity and happiness and fulfillment and joy and togetherness and union and unity. To become more aware. And we have the tool of the Zohar to enhance that positive side of us, to just for the days that that evil inclination is going to come up. It is part of us, but we don't have to give it that much energy. And by nurturing it less, by cutting, like the way that the Rav was saying, is closing the restaurant. Close the restaurant to the evil inclination, and it doesn't, it's like it's craving, and it's like it's starving and it's thirsty, but you don't give him anything. And that's how you regain your power. That's how you regain your force to do what you were intended to do by coming to this place. Any questions? All right, then. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll meet again next week, God willing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yehuda.
Thank you,
welcome.
Yehuda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.